Hi, I'm Rachel from Sweetthorn. Welcome to my latest embroidery update. If you're new here, last year I began a series about exploring different embroidery styles and techniques that were new to me. This is something I'm doing in my spare time because I mainly work on creating embroidery designs and kits. Most recently I launched a website, so you can take a look at the rest of my work if you like. You can find the link in the description. I've been learning a lot about how much I can get done each week when I only have a few hours available for this particular project. Not surprisingly, I've learned that I can't get much done. However, it's worth taking the time to do the embroidery as well as I can. I started working on Blackwork embroidery pieces at the end of last year. Blackwork is a fascinating embroidery style, and there are so many ways to use it to create dramatic and precise pieces of textile art. It's a style I will have to come back to so that I can explore it in more depth. For now, I'm in the middle of completing my final Blackwork design, which is a large 9-square sampler. If you saw my last update, you'll know that I was aiming to get the middle row completed in time for this update. As you can see, I'm not quite there. I did say 3 squares was a wild ambition at the time. I was proved entirely right, even though I was rather hoping to be wrong. But I'm learning something new, and so unexpected delays do tend to crop up. Last time you saw me, I was merrily stitching a harlequin design, which was essentially made up of large cross stitches. I stitched them all one way and then the other. The design I've chosen for the centre of the sampler is called rounded eyelet, and it's quite elaborate. The main issue I had with this design was how I wanted it to look on the sampler. The other patterns have been stitched in a fairly random way, and I don't mind that some look cut off at the edges. Because the rounded eyelet design looks so neat and satisfying as a complete pattern, I couldn't stitch it without a bit of preparation. I had to start over a few times because I didn't fully think through where the end points would be and how they might throw off the overall symmetry of the sampler. To make sure I had the placement correct, I had to count the threads in the design and then work out how many times it could repeat both vertically and horizontally in the square I'd drawn. Once I was happy with my design placement, I was able to get on with stitching properly without worrying about unpicking the stitches. So that was all fine, but as you can see it's an elaborate pattern to stitch, so it took me a lot longer than the other designs. I experimented with some different methods, but I would need to spend more time working on the pattern to find the most efficient way to stitch it. I've had a look at the Royal School of Needlework's method. The link is in the description, and their technique does look efficient, especially for saving thread, but I think I would have struggled to keep all the elements of the design in mind, and I would have left gaps by mistake. I stole as much extra time as I could, and the square is complete, which I'm very pleased about. And I even have a little snippet of the next design as well. The 6th panel is an Octagon star design. It's a simpler version of the rounded eyelet, but it's more open. I've used the same spacing to position the design on the sampler. Looking ahead at the remaining patterns I've chosen, I think they will require some planning as well, so I predict there will be a great deal more counting of tiny spaces. It's all a bit tough on the eyes, but I do love the results. I should have 2 more panels completed by my next update, and by that point I'll be nearing the end of my Blackwork projects for now. Because I only have a few hours to spare for this project each week, I'll have to have a think about how I approach future topics, so that I perhaps spend 3 months on a new style rather than the best part of a year. I had originally planned more elaborate Blackwork projects where I learn how to stitch images using Blackwork patterns. That's something I can come back to in the future. After this sampler is finished, it will be time to think about trying something different. I'm still dithering over which style to choose, so I'll let you know more about it nearer the time. That's all for now. I'll be back with an update in another month. If you want more detail about how I stitch these pieces, I've added information in the description below about the books and equipment that I use. There's also a link to my new website so that you can see what I do when I'm not counting the spaces between tiny linen threads. And there's a link to my newsletter so that you can find out more about what I'm working on now. Thanks very much for watching. Bye for now.